Hello and welcome to the online learning series. I am dealing with the chapter Moving Charges and Magnetism. This is my third session, and in this session we are going to learn about cyclotron. Cyclotron is a particle accelerator. The cyclotron is a device. It is a device used to accelerate the charged particles to high energies. So here, using this device called cyclotron, we are going to accelerate the charged particles to high energy. Now energy is given by the formula half mv square. So if you want to increase the energy of any charged particle, you need to increase its velocity. So how to increase the velocity of any charged particle? Let me consider an electric field and the direction of electric field is from positive charge to negative, and this will be the direction of the electric field. I am placing a charge q whose velocity is initially 0. Since this charge is placed in the electric field, it is acted upon by a force due to electric field, and that force is given by the formula F is equal to QE, and the direction of force is same as the direction of the electric field. And because of that force, the charge is now accelerated, and the acceleration is given by the formula F by m, and this will be equal to QE by m. The charge has started its journey from this point with initial velocity 0, and as it travels and reaches this point, the velocity, let me say, is v, and the charge doesn't experience any force further. So beyond this there is no electric field, therefore the force on the charge will be 0. The acceleration will be 0. Now the charged particle is being accelerated and its velocity has changed from 0 to v. Now this charged particle should be accelerated to a very high energy. In order to get high energy, I need to increase its velocity. So velocity should be very high. So to attain that velocity, what I can do is, we know the formula v square is equal to u square plus 2as. If I increase this distance, the velocity will increase. That means I should increase this length. What happens if I increase the length? We know the relation E is equal to v by L. If I increase the length, then its electric field strength decreases. But I want this electric field strength to be kept constant, then I need to increase the voltage. But I cannot increase the potential difference to a very high value. It is practically very difficult. To overcome all these difficulties, I cannot increase the length, I cannot increase the potential difference, but I need to have a particle to move with very high velocity. So to overcome all these difficulties, scientists named Lawrence, E.O. Lawrence and M.S. Livingston, they designed this device which is called as cyclotron. Let us see what is the principle of this device. In order to increase the velocity of the charged particle, now what I do is, I will bring this charged particle which is having velocity v to this side again with some phenomena. Then I am going to make it pass this electric field again. So its velocity now increases to 2v. Again I am going to bring it back. Its velocity increases to 3v and so on. So what I am doing is, I am making the particle, the charged particle, to again and again cross this electric field. The charged particle is crossing the same electric field again and again. This phenomena we are going to use in this cyclotron. You can see in the name itself, cyclotron. That is, we are going to bring the charged particle to the same electric field again and again with the help of a magnetic field. So here I am going to use a alternating electric field and a strong magnetic field, and these two are cross fields because they are both perpendicular to each other. You have to place the electric field and magnetic field perpendicular to each other, then such fields are called as cross fields. Now what is this alternating electric field? If I say that the voltage is, or the current is varying periodically, the direction of this current or the voltage or the polarity is changing periodically. With time, the voltage is changing. In the first half cycle it will be positive, in the next half cycle this becomes negative. So this type of the voltage is called as AC source, or we are going to call this as alternating electric field. So we are going to use a alternating electric field here. What happens here is, in the first half cycle this will be positive, and the next half cycle the polarity changes to negative. So this type of alternating electric field is used in this in the construction of this device. And we are going to use a strong magnetic field. We use a north pole and south pole of a magnet, strong magnet, so that we are going to create a magnetic field here. You can increase or accelerate the charged particle to very high energy using this device by making the charged particle to cross the alternating electric field again and again with the help of a strong magnetic field. As I explained here, you are going to bring the charged particle to cross the same electric field again and again, but with the help of a strong magnetic field. This is how we are going to use this device. Coming to the construction of the experiment, we are going to use two D-shaped metal chambers here. So we are going to use two metal chambers which is having the shape of D. And they both are separated by a small gap, and I am going to call this as D1 and the other one as D2, and they together are called as Ds. So these are metal chambers and they are hollow inside. So these metal chambers should be hollow inside. These are called as D1 and D2, together they are called as Ds. And the complete setup will be inside a steel box. It is enclosed inside a steel box, and these D1 and D2 will be connected to a alternating electric field. I am going to connect them to a oscillator. What happens here is, in the first half cycle, if D1 is positive, D2 will be negative. In the second half cycle, D1 becomes negative and D2 becomes positive. So the polarity is going to change periodically. The time will be kept constant. Next, I am going to apply the magnetic field here. The magnetic field should be applied such that it is perpendicular to the electric field. So if I say that the D's are kept in this plane, the electric field is applied in this plane, then the magnetic field should be applied such that it is perpendicular to this electric field. This is the direction of the magnetic field. So I am going to place the north pole of the magnet here and south pole here. Then this is how the magnetic field is acting on the metal chamber. Here you can see the magnetic field is represented by dot. Before, in my previous sessions, I had represented the magnetic field using into mark. What does this mean? it means that the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the board and it is inwards. Whenever you have a into mark, it just means the magnetic field is inwards. Coming to this, if I represent magnetic field using dot, that means that the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the board and it is outwards. It is acting outwards. Therefore, the setup will be like this. You have the north pole of the magnet here. The steel box, that is the complete setup, metal chamber will be placed here, and here the south pole. So the magnetic field lines will be passing in this direction, that is perpendicular to the plane of the board and it is outwards. This is how the magnetic field will be applied. Next, this is the construction. We have applied the magnetic field which is perpendicular to the electric field, and we have connected the Ds, which are the hollow metal chambers, to an oscillator which is alternating electric field, and the complete setup is kept inside a enclosed inside a steel box. Now let us see the working of the device. So between these gaps, I am going to place a positive ion. Let me consider the particle I am going to consider will be a positive ion. So I have placed it between the gap, that is in the gap between these two Ds. Now in the first half cycle, let me consider the D1 will be positive and D2 will be negative. Then the charged particle being positive, it is going to be attracted by D2, and since the electric field is acting on this charged particle, the charged particle will be accelerated. The electric field applies force on this, it is exerting force on the charged particle, and therefore the charged particle will be accelerated towards D2, since D2 is negative. Therefore the charged particle is now moving towards D2. Now as it moves inside D2, now D2 is a hollow chamber as I mentioned earlier, then the electric field inside this D2 will be 0. Inside D2 the electric field is completely 0. If electric field is 0, there is no more force acting on this charged particle, therefore the charged particle is not accelerated. Now the charged particle will move with the uniform velocity. Now the charged particle goes inside where the influence of electric field will be 0. Then which is the force acting on the charged particle? Only the magnetic force. Since we have applied the magnetic force, that is magnetic field perpendicular to the movement or the motion of the charge. Therefore, let me explain this. If the velocity of the charge is in this direction and the magnetic field is perpendicular to it, then what is the trajectory of the charged particle? It will be a circular path. We have studied this. The centripetal force starts to act on it. Therefore, now the charged particle as it moves inside D2, the magnetic field is exerting force on it. That magnetic field, what it does is it makes the particle to move in a circular path. So you have to notice one thing, that the charged particle is accelerated only between the Ds. So there is acceleration or the force only between the Ds. As soon as it enters these Ds, there will be no force and the charged particle is not accelerated. Now the charged particle moves in a circular path because of the magnetic field and reaches the gap between the Ds. Next, by the time the charged particle reaches this gap, the polarity of the oscillator changes. That is, the next half cycle will be D1 negative and D2 positive. So in the second half cycle, the charged particle again starts to move towards D1 because now the positively charged particle will be attracted towards the negative chamber, that is metal chamber, that is D1. Therefore it starts moving towards this chamber, but by the time it reaches this chamber, its velocity has been increased. So whatever the speed it was in this point will be increased because the charged particle has crossed this gap. As it passes through the gap, the electric field will exert force on the charged particle and the charged particle will move with greater speed. Okay, now the velocity is more. Now since the velocity is more, the charged particle as it enters d1, it now starts to move in a circular path, because there is magnetic field, it always makes a circular path, but this time it is going to make a bigger circle, that is a circle with larger radius. We know the formula for radius. In the previous session we have derived this. R is equal to mv by qb. Here you can see m, q, b are all constants. Now if v is increased, if the velocity is increased, what happens to the radius? Radius also increases. That is what happens here. Now here the velocity is more, the velocity of the particle has been increased. Now therefore the radius also increases, and in the same time period the particle will reach the gap. By the time the particle reaches this gap, again the oscillator changes its polarity. This becomes positive and this becomes negative, and the charged particle is attracted towards D2 and the charged particle starts to move towards D2. But here what happens? Again the electric force is acting in this gap, and therefore the charged particle will gain more velocity, and it, as soon as it moves to D2, its velocity, its acceleration becomes 0, and the particle will again move with a greater radius. So this goes on repeating, and the charged particle will take up a spiral path, and finally it has reached the maximum radius, and after it reaches the maximum radius, the velocity of the charged particle becomes maximum. So as the particle reaches maximum radius, its velocity also is maximum, and therefore this is the time to take out the charged particle. We are going to bring the charged particle out, that is the charged particle goes and eats the target. This is how the cyclotron works. So we have considered a positive ion of charge q and mass m. Now the charged particle is accelerating because of the alternating electric field, and it is making a circular motion because of magnetic field. That is, we are making the charged particle to cross the same electric field again and again with the help of this strong magnetic field. So the magnetic force is here converted as centripetal force, since the particle is making a circular motion. So you can see each time the particle revolves and comes between the D's, that is it makes a semicircle and comes between the D's, its velocity has increased. Because its velocity has increased, its radius also increases, because the radius is given by the formula mv by qb. If the velocity increases, radius also increases. This is what happening here, and therefore we are going to get a spiral path here. The particle is going to make a spiral path. Next, let us see what will be the revolution, time taken for one revolution. So the time taken for one revolution is given by the formula time is equal to distance by velocity. Distance is one circle is nothing but 2 pi r by v. Now substituting for r, 2 pi by v into mv by qb. V and V gets cancelled. So the time taken for one revolution is 2 pi m by qb. What you observe here is this time taken for one revolution is independent of velocity and radius, and it is constant for a certain setup. So here I have taken a particle of certain mass m and a particle with certain charge q, and the magnetic field I have applied, it's a uniform magnetic field. So this whole thing becomes constant. The time period will not change. That means the oscillator is changing its polarity with some time t, and the particle is making a semicircle or a complete circle, then it is making that complete circle in some time t. They both are same. That should be the same. That is what the arrangement is done here. Next, let us see what is the frequency. Frequency is given by the formula 1 by T, and this is equal to, if I just reciprocate this T, I am going to get QB by 2 pi m. And even this is a constant, and this is very important. Remember this is called as cyclotron frequency. The cyclotron frequency, which is important and will be asked for 1 marks in your board exam. Remember this formula, F is equal to, or cyclotron frequency is equal to QB by 2 pi m, which is constant. Next, we shall derive what will be the maximum kinetic energy of the particle which is coming out. So the particle is coming out of the accelerator. We said that the accelerator will give us a charged particle which is having very high energy. Then what will be the energy of that charged particle? That we are going to calculate using this formula. Maximum kinetic energy is equal to half m v max square. When will the particle have maximum energy? When the velocity is maximum. Now, velocity can be derived using this formula, r is equal to mv by qb. We know v is equal to qbr by m. But I am calculating the maximum velocity. If I want the velocity to be maximum, then its radius should be maximum. Q, B and M are all kept constant. So radius should be maximum. Only if the radius is maximum, then the velocity of that particle will be maximum and its energy becomes maximum. Therefore, kinetic energy, maximum kinetic energy is equal to half into M into V max square. V max is QB R max by M. Square it, you get Q square B square R max square divided by M square. M and M gets cancelled. So this will be Q square B square R max square by M, and this is the maximum kinetic energy formula. So to calculate the maximum kinetic energy, you just have to know what is the maximum radius of the charged particle. Then you can easily calculate the maximum kinetic energy of the particle. Now let us see what are the uses of this cyclotron. So what is the use if I accelerate a charged particle using this cyclotron? So these charged particles which is accelerated to very high energy are used to bombard a nuclei. So you can use these energetic particles and bombard a nuclei, and you can learn the resulting nuclear reaction. So I can study, you can study the nuclear reactions which results from the result by bombarding energetic particle with a nuclei. And secondly, you can use these energetic particles to synthesize a new material. That is, you can implant these ions. These ions can be implanted into any solids. So when I implant these ions into a solid, the property of the solid will change. So since its property is going to change, see, I want a solid or a material whose property is not favorable to me, like I am performing some experiment and the properties of the solid is not favorable to me, then I can implant the ion into it, these energetic ions into that solid, and I can change its property. And after changing its property, I am synthesizing a new material. Synthesize a new material. This is what it is used for. And thirdly, you can also produce radioactive substances. So these radioactive substances which are produced using these energetic particles will be used in the treatment and diagnosis of cancer and etc. So these are the uses of the cyclotron. And next will come for limitations. We'll see what are the limitations of cyclotron. The The first limitation of the cyclotron is the cyclotron cannot be used to accelerate a neutral particle. You cannot accelerate a neutral particle. We have already mentioned it. Cyclotron is a device which accelerates charged particles. So neutral particle like neutron cannot be accelerated. You can accelerate a proton, deuteron, alpha particles and any other heavy particles, heavy positive particles can be accelerated using these cyclotron. And secondly, you cannot accelerate a charged particle to a very high energy. So there is a limitation. So you are increasing the velocity of the particle. You cannot exceed certain velocity. There is some limitation and this cannot be exceeded. That is one more limitation. I'll explain this in this third limitation. Here in the third limitation they say that you cannot accelerate a smaller mass particle, that is a mass which is having the particle which is having less mass. You cannot accelerate such particles. That is example electron. Electron is one example which is having very less mass and you cannot accelerate such particles. That is because you know the formula for acceleration is F by m. If the mass is very less, its acceleration will be more. So if the acceleration is high, then from the formula m is equal to m naught 1 by root of 1 minus v square by c square, you can see if the velocity becomes very high, that is comparable or very much compared with this c or greater than c, then this value becomes very less. Now this value becomes very it's a very large value. Now if this is a large value, when you subtract it with 1, then it will be a very smaller value. Now if you divide m naught by a small value, you get a large value. That means the mass will increase the mass will become very high. So if the mass is very large, what happens? We know the formula for frequency. Frequency is given by the formula QB by 2 pi m. As I told you earlier, these things are all kept constant. But here, if I use a particle with less mass, then the particle's frequency will change. Its mass is changing. If mass varies, frequency varies. If frequency varies, what happens? We have set this oscillator to a particular frequency and the charged particle which is revolving here is also making that circular motion with certain frequency. These two are matching. But if the mass of the particle is going to vary, the frequency of the particle also varies. And if this particle is having different frequency, then it is not going to match with this and therefore your cyclotron is not going to work accordingly. Therefore, the particles which are having very less mass cannot be accelerated and you cannot accelerate a particle to beyond a certain limit. The speed there is a limitation for the speed and you cannot go beyond it, and these are the limitations of a cyclotron. So this is about cyclotron. In this session we have discussed completely about the cyclotron. So I'll meet you again in the next session. Thank you.